So I recently watched a video by Sam Shethar of Shethar Training. It was titled "Everyone is Lying About Their Training Age," and he starts off by giving an example of a powerlifter who has impressive numbers in the squat, bench, and deadlift, and when asked, they say they've been training for powerlifting for 3 years, but they leave out the fact that they've been doing the squat, bench, and deadlift for many years prior to that, which obviously is an enormous advantage. This gives the impression that the individual is an outlier in achieving such impressive results in a small amount of time, and it reminded me of a couple of other scenarios outside of lifting. For one, it's like when someone goes into jiu-jitsu after wrestling for many years, middle school, high school, and maybe even college, and almost immediately they start destroying people, at least lower-level opponents. And someone goes, "How long you been training?" And they say they've been coming to class for 3 weeks and totally leave out the fact that they've been grappling for the last decade, which is quite the advantage. Another example, I saw a bass cover on YouTube recently. Can't remember what the song was, but the dude was playing something with a pick that was normally done finger style, something that a lot of guitar players transitioning to bass do since they are proficient with using a pick. It was a good cover, and someone in the comments asked how long they've been playing the bass, and I don't remember exactly, but it was some really short amount of time, like a couple months or something, but he leaves out the fact that he's been playing the guitar for a long time, and he's a completely proficient electric guitar player, which makes playing electric bass with a pick a lot easier to transition to. And, the guy replies, "Oh my God, wow, that's incredible." But it just goes to show that sometimes people don't want to reveal information that might make their accomplishments seem less impressive. But back to lifting, Sam Shethar then goes in another direction, and this is what was a bit more intriguing to me and why I'm making this video. He gives an example of someone getting down on themselves and assuming their potential sucks because they've only achieved a certain level in the gym, even though they've been training for X amount of years, 4 years, let's call it. He makes the point that there's a difference between training age and effective training age. Effective training age would factor in how long you've actually been lifting productively, so taking training seriously and doing the right things inside and outside of the gym to continually progress towards your goals. Now, he's a strength-focused lifter, powerlifting and strongman, I believe, but this very much applies to just getting jacked. Let's say someone's goal is to gain muscle. In the real world, how long that individual has been going to the gym and the advancement level of their physique are usually not going to line up. And this is because most people aren't training properly, or they don't take other variables like recovery and diet seriously, or all the above. I'll give you two scenarios. Example A, you have a guy who has been going to the gym with the goal of getting jacked for a decade, but he has a beginner-level physique. How is this possible? Could be a lot of different things. He could use a meme technique, or he doesn't train hard enough. Maybe he eats pizza rolls and Skittles for dinner and plays video games until 4 a.m. every night. On top of that, at no point has this guy ever sought out to improve the quality of his training or diet. Now, in rare instances, maybe this person does just have god-awful genetics for muscle building.
Let me give you guys a bicep shot first.
But if you ask that person how long they've been lifting, they'll tell you over a decade. Now, 10 years, that's their training age on paper. Their effective training age might actually be like 3 months or something. Now, example B, you have a guy that has maximized every year he's been lifting. Maybe he hired a coach the moment he stepped foot in the gym. He would have an effective training age equal to or pretty dang close to his training age on paper. This is a very, very, very rare scenario, and it's essentially impossible to define because no one can actually define perfect training. Now, in between these two examples, there's a spectrum, and all of us who've been lifting for a while will land somewhere on this spectrum. Not quite Exhibit A, who has done almost no productive training even after 10 years, but also not like Exhibit B. We've made mistakes. We realized stuff we were doing in the past maybe wasn't very conducive to making gains. You could have been afraid to gain body weight.
They pinned me right there, and it was great.
You thought isolation movements were useless. Maybe you got sucked into the low-carb cult when in reality your training is much more productive with plenty of carbs. Perhaps you were doing 30 to 40 weekly sets for certain muscle groups, and all it led to was tendinitis.
20, 30, or even 40 or more working sets.
I've never seen his breaky out.
8+ reps was it.
A blue lobster is a rare, like it only happens 1 in 2 million.
Gatorade, take a month off of training.
Jiu-Jitsu.
Once a year.
Hey, wait, yeah!
You get my point here. Your training age on paper and your effective training age are probably not the same, and the discrepancy between these two values will vary from person to person. This misunderstanding of training age and effective training age comes into play in a lot of these natty or not debates. Most people don't understand there's a difference, or they just pretend that they don't. The Natty or Juice subreddit is loaded with people who assume an individual is on the juice because that person made better progress than they did in a given time frame, or just better progress than them in general. Now, of course, everyone has different genetics, but in many cases, this is just the laziest stance you could possibly take. And if you really dove under the hood and took a look at all the variables, training, diet, recovery, it might be pretty clear why certain people progress at different rates. But I suppose it's easier to just say someone cheated as opposed to looking in the mirror and admitting your training sucks. From another angle, you'll see people get accused of being a fake natural if they make good progress after training for a number of years. Take Jeffrey Verity Schofield, for example. In the Natty or Juice echo chamber, he's a fake natural, and a lot of people seem to point at the fact that he made great gains, particularly in the arm department, after 6 to 7 years of lifting as a clear sign that he's on the juice. No one mentions that he's been dedicating a full session to arms every 3 days for over 2 years, I believe. No one does that, and that kind of attention from a programming perspective, along with actually dialing in and doing the hard work, can make a material difference in a physique. Now, that's not even mentioning the impact of GVS improving things like technique, exercise selection, running dedicated bulking cycles, and just developing a better understanding of what works best for him. So the takeaway here is that you probably have a lot more gains in the tank than you realize. Just because you've been going to the gym for 5 years doesn't mean you've reached 90% of your muscle growth potential. Training matters, diet matters, it all makes a material difference. So that's all I had to say. Check out my free training resources linked below. I just released a longer video sharing a couple free bodybuilding programs. They come with detailed files you can use to track your progress, and I include guidance on things like substitutions, intensity, volume, and progression. I'll be putting out more stuff like that on this channel in the future, so be on the lookout. Anyways, that is all. Take care.